Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined again by our friend here, Scott Hettesheimer, who's from Advanced Benefit Design Institute. We're going to talk today about his company, which really is a healthcare expense reduction expertise in their field. And they're really here helping, stop the overcharging, stop the fraud, stop the waste, stop the abuse. And let's welcome to the show our president and founder. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks, Scott. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm Scott Hettesheimer. I've been in the healthcare analytics field since 2008. I began my insurance career in 1977. So what we do today is specialize in recovering, I guess would be the best word to use, overspending, overcharging, fraud, abuse, and waste. There are several different studies that have been done, including Humana, the University of Pittsburgh, HHS, Health and Human Services, Medicare. It doesn't matter if it's private sector or the government sector. Waste is 25%. So when you're spending $4.1 trillion, $4.4 trillion in 2023 on waste or on healthcare, excuse me. The waste spending is $1.4 trillion for 2023, and that's expected to exceed $1.7 trillion in 2024.
Wow.
So this is a significant cost to employers.
Well, we are excited to have you here and doing what you do. Could you share your website, best forms of contact?
We're just now bringing up a new website, and it is theabdi.com.
Perfect. All right. And for today, I know you had some talking points that you want to share about specifically what you do. You say Advanced Benefit Design Institute is a change agent. So you're the consulting authority, as you say. So let's talk about your mission of driving these healthcare savings for self-funded plans, health systems, union funds, and so much more. We are all ears. Go for it.
Okay. Right. We're not working in an agent or broker capacity with employers. Sorry about that. We work as a consulting, and we are considering the consulting authority. We're part of a national organization in that regard, Next Gen Benefits, and there's about 90 different contributors that we have in this group, where we think tank, I guess you would say, different ideas and strategies or tactics that will reduce an employer's spend in their self-insured benefits. The biggest area to go after, number one, phase one is what we call it, is the fraud and abuse. So we will data mine all of your paid claims and identify this 25% of wasted spending. Then we have, if needed, a complete legal team as well to go after the different providers who have been paid or been the recipient of these charges. You can tell where these profits have been going. Insurance companies are a benefactor of the overcharging. Just look at their share price over the last 7-8 years. It's tripled or quadrupled. Hospitals have been the benefactor of this overcharging. And just look at hospital expansion in physical facilities that has occurred over the last 8 to 10 years. What used to be a hospital is now a campus. And they now have new service facilities almost on every corner, like we saw with drugstores 10, 15 years ago. All of a sudden, we had a different competing drugstore on every corner. Now we have, especially in the city areas, hospital service centers that are outbuildings of the hospital facilities themselves that are all built out.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a nonprofit entity, you can't show profit. So what you do is you spend the money on building your resources out. So it's good that care has been expanded, but at whose expense? You know, these dollar amounts are 100% paid by employers and employees. It's not paid by or paid with insurance company money. Insurance
Mm-hmm.
companies don't have their own money.
Yeah.
They have your money.
Mm-hmm.
And administrators, they're part of the problem too. Administrators reap huge um, cash influxes from this overcharging.
Mm-hmm.
Many times the administrators get a percent of what
Oh,
is,
I was gonna ask. Wait. So they're getting a percentage from it all.
yes.
Wow.
It's
This.
called claim adjudication. And when a person needs medical services, they go to the hospital,
Yep.
you know, they're repaired, they're made healthy again,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, they're fixed, whatever you want to call it. That's your better clinical outcomes. But then somebody has to prepare a bill. And in the preparation of that bill, we had a podcast earlier where I described how hospitals generate bills, and bills are generated arbitrarily.
Mm.
They are not based on actual costs. They aren't based on
Mm.
labor costs. They aren't based on material cost. They
Mm-hmm.
basically just pull the bills out of thin air. And you will find that sometimes bills are maybe 800 times what Medicare has identified.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with the adjudication? There's discounting that occurs, and many times part of that discount is paid to the administrator. And that's because you're paying them for their work because they're achieving this great discount for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they explain it. Um, the discounts are there for anybody. It's not anything special that the administrator is doing to get a special discount. It just doesn't
Wow.
work that way. Um, Claims, for the most part, and I'll name this with legacy carriers. Legacy carriers are your insurance companies that are listed on the stock exchange. They have shareholders. It's called auto adjudication.
Okay.
So the patient, they're ready to leave the hospital. The bill is basically all written out through the different departments.
Mm-hmm.
It's assembled into a document. That
Okay.
document is printed, put in the mail,
Mm-hmm.
mailed to the insurance company claim office. Now, I'm talking about snail mail. I'm talking about the original process. Of course, all this has been digitized in today's world, but it's the same. It works the same way. It's just a little easier or more visual describing it as mail. The
Mm-hmm.
mail then is delivered to the claim department where a machine opens the letter.
Mm-hmm.
The letter is fed through a scanner where it is scanned.
Okay.
It's fed into another computer where that
Wow.
computer takes that scan, compares it against the benefits, deductible, things like that, and then it writes a check to the provider for the balance. Nobody ever looks at it.
Wow, this is amazing. I've never heard of this. I never knew. I'm not in the field, but that's wow, really uncontrolled.
Nobody looks at it. Um, there are certain dollar amount thresholds where a person would come into this process, but the claim would probably have to be six figures or greater before a person actually looks at it. So, 80, 90% of the claims are paid without any oversight, no audit. That's what allows this 25% overbilling to occur. Because what happens in the beginning when the bill is assembled, let's say a person has a leg amputated. Well, there's a CPT code,
Mm-hmm.
a procedure code that identifies that procedure and has a cost. And that cost may be $30,000.
Yeah.
But there's debundling software that is in play in the healthcare delivery system, and it may put a code in there for amputating a toe, and then amputating a foot, and then amputating the lower leg. And there's separate charges for each of these. So instead of having the net charge for a leg amputation, you have the gross charge for all these incremental amputations, and that will double, triple, quadruple the dollar amount of the claim. And when these claims go through this auto adjudication process, they're paid. Not paid by the insurance company,
Mm-hmm.
paid by the employer, because these claims are automatically deducted from the employer's checking account
Wow.
by the administrator. Again, unchecked, the employer would pay the $120,000, $130,000 submission. And it would all appear to be correct. So what we do is we go into, and if we have to even look at the operating notes, we'll make these discoveries. And after making these discoveries, we'll correct the claims process. And what we do has nothing to do with your network discounts. It
Mm-hmm.
has everything to do with overcharging.
Okay.
So, what has been submitted through the network includes the network discounts, which again
Okay.
are based on arbitrary pricing. So
Mm-hmm.
they're really kind of meaningless. But that's what agents and brokers and insurance companies sell to employers. Networks, the value of the network. We have the deepest discounts. And these discounts it's not what it's all about. It's not about insurance company rates,
Mm-hmm.
not about discounts. It's all about the cost of healthcare.
Got it.
So we get into the weeds, I guess you'd say, and
Yeah.
we identify what the true health cost of the healthcare should have been. And then we go back to these providers and collect from these providers the overcharging. This results in tens of millions of dollars in refunds to self-insured employers. And by the way, not all these refunds go to the employers. Some of these refunds, or a portion of these refunds,
Mm-hmm.
belong to the employee
Wow.
being the patient.
Mm-hmm.
The patient many times gets a refund as well.
Okay.
The bulk of the refunds go to the
Interesting.
employer, but we will mail checks directly to the employees' homes
Okay.
if they are due a refund from overcharging. That's what we do. And we find we're working with a 7,000 man group right now, and we're in the neighborhood of 25-30 million dollars of overcharging that will be collected over the next 12 months and become cash refunds back to the employer. So again, we're not competing against brokers or agents. We work with them. But we do work that they do not do. We are truly unique in this field or this arena, and we're doing something that has significant value, brings instant cash. I say instant, within 12 months, back into the employer's business. And we don't have any upfront charges. We do our discovery and work for free. We take a percent of the collection or the recovery. So there's no financial risk, there's no disruption, there's no changing of insurance plans, there's no changing of agents. Of course, if you want to change your agent, we have agents that we can recommend, but we're not doing this to become the agent. We want to work for the employer and provide a valuable service. And we're more than happy to work with their current agent and assist them in providing a service that maybe they didn't even know was an opportunity to provide.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I apologize. We're out of time, but it's good to get this conversation going and to help so many organizations and companies out there that are losing money. It's a shame, and I can't believe it's even coming out of the pocket of some of the employees. Can we find out how we can contact you, please? Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, the best way to contact me is on the telephone.
Okay.
I'm old fashioned, I want the phone call. We don't use automated systems. We don't, we answer our own calls. So my direct line is 513-720-4400. We have a new URL. We have a site up on advancedbenefitdesigninstitute.com.
Okay.
And our new URL is
Perfect.
theabdi.com.
Well, thank you so much. Really, we appreciate you being here joining us. And sorry we got off to a late start today. Hopefully we'll be on time next week and we'll figure out the Zoom, okay?
Yes.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Jill.
so much, Scott, for your patience.
Appreciate it.
Have a fantastic day. And Happy New Year, by the way. I don't think I said that off the top.
Right.
All right.
I
We'll
forgot
talk
that
soon.
too. Happy New
Me
Year.
too. We were so nervous about it. Is it a call? Is it a Zoom? And now we're here. But great talking to you and great seeing you. Thank you so much.
Great.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.